And now, from Pasadena, it's CCN Sunrise with Sehnita Joshua Mattison, Paulo Alejandria, the Crown City News team, and the CCN Sunrise segment stars. It's time to wake up San Gabriel Valley with CCN Sunrise.
Good morning, Pasadena. We're so happy to have you here with CCN Sunrise. We have a great show for you. We're going to get ready to get you what you want. Derek Chevalier is here on tips to master your next negotiation. I'm Sehnita Joshua Mattison.
And the Mad Chef, Dave, is here with the perfect recipe for summer peaches. I'm Paulo Alejandria. So, I mean, certainly a sad week as far as news is concerned. Beloved actor Robin Williams. I don't know about you, but the news is, I'm still having trouble dealing with it. Personally.
Something new is coming out every day, and we're devastated.
Yeah.
I can't stop thinking about it, honestly.
I mean, we're certainly going to get into it later, but just what are some of your favorite Robin Williams movies?
Well, I don't know. I did a little shout out to my favorite, Good Morning Vietnam.
Okay.
I just love that movie.
I didn't catch that, but yeah, okay.
Well, I extended my good morning a little.
Okay, I get it now, yeah.
But it was the first time because, he was a little frantic, a little bit. I loved him, of course, with all his comedy. But Good Morning Vietnam was one of his first serious roles, and it was just an amazing movie. I love Good Will Hunting and all of that, but Aladdin and the Genie just won my heart.
Yeah, I mean, who could forget him and Mrs. Doubtfire putting his face in the cream and hello? I mean,
Is that your favorite?
Well, it's a childhood favorite, but I mean, if you're gonna ask me my favorite Robin Williams movie, I would have to say when he gets dramatic, I like Awakenings a lot and Good Will Hunting, and I think in those two movies, you kind of saw a little bit of the sadness that maybe he was dealing with in his own personal life, which is it's certainly sad.
He's just obviously a very full person. And, Lauren Bacall also passed away this week.
Yeah, Hollywood icon, Lauren Bacall, known for her movies with Humphrey Bogart. You got a link to what some refer to as the golden age of Hollywood. So
all of the people, icons mentioned in Madonna's Vogue song are now dead. So it's a little
that's
sadness.
An interesting little tidbit.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, with that, we got news. Now here's a look at some of the headlines making news right here in the San Gabriel Valley.
And now, CCN, Crown City News. Your news, your neighborhood starts right now.
A woman 7 months pregnant was shot at as she stood in a driveway in South Lomani. The woman was in the 1900 block of Merced Avenue when suspects drove up in a dark-colored sedan and fired several rounds at her, hitting her several times. She was rushed to a local hospital where she successfully delivered her baby. The mother's condition isn't known right now. Anyone with information about the shooting can call the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Temple Station at 626-285-7171 or anonymously by calling Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS or 8477. 2 men have been found guilty and sentenced to federal prison for setting off the destructive Colby fire. 22-year-old Clifford Eugene Henry Jr. of Glendora and 21-year-old Stephen Robert Aguirre of Baldwin Park were both charged with starting an illegal campfire which destroyed 6 homes and 17 other structures. It also damaged 8 other homes. 2 firefighters and a civilian were injured. A third man investigators say was involved in the incident will be scheduled for sentencing later this month. Both men already sentenced admitted to starting the fire. Winds blew burning paper into the brush and then sent the flames below the hills into the residential areas.
Now it's time for a little morning buzz, and we have a very special guest, Bill Chott from the Improv Comedy Trick is here. Improv Trick, that is. Thanks for joining us, Bill.
Thanks for having me.
Got a couple tricks up your sleeve there, Bill?
Nothing up my sleeve today.
But, I wanted to ask you, because we're going to talk a little bit about Robin Williams, and, you're a comic. How did his death affect you? Was he someone who you looked up to?
He was immensely important to my formative years. I do improv, so my first exposure to improv, at least, at that age, was, knowing that he was making up a lot of what was going on in Mork and Mindy. And,
wow.
Yeah, that was part of our weekly schedule, was watching Mork and Mindy together.
Studying, huh?
Yeah, the first ever comedy album I got was Reality, What a Concept.
Oh, Bill, real quickly, as a comedian, I just wanted to ask you, is there an element of sadness that you find that is pretty consistent? Not with all comedians, of course, but there is a sadness there that maybe comedy kind of compensates. I've heard that about Richard Pryor. I've heard that about Lenny Bruce.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts of that as a fellow comedian?
I think, some comics say funny things, some comics say things funny. I think the guys that are better joke writers tend to be depressed. I don't know why that is. I've battled with depression myself. Both,
So you would say that you probably used comedy kind of assuage some of that.
Definitely, yeah. There was in my early years there was a lot of loneliness. We moved around a lot as a kid, and so I was consistently the new kid. I was also consistently the four-eyed kid.
Clown.
Yeah.
So you picked him up. Well, I wanted to talk really quickly because with his death and the tragic news that it is a suicide. We're hearing out there, people are saying, well, suicide is a choice. So you just have to remember that. And it just bothers me so much. There's such a debate about that because what's the point in talking about suicide as a choice at this point? I don't understand it.
I don't think it's something you could really put your finger on unless you're actually going through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't think I've ever, considered suicide as an answer myself. But if somebody doesn't get the help they need and doesn't know how to, and all of a sudden a giant thing like, now you've got Parkinson's, deal with that on top of your career and the fact that you just had a show canceled, and let's see how you deal with it,
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's so many multiple things going on, and one blogger was just talking about, all he needed to do was find the joy. It's like, you're talking about Robin Williams. He brought joy to a lot of people.
Yeah,
I don't
he
think that's quite
understands
the
joy.
answer.
He understands the concept of joy.
Right.
And
perhaps that's what was the most selfless about him, is that just by going through that sadness, he was giving people joy.
Yeah, even in the heat of combat, he had become kind of like the new Bob Hope. He was going overseas.
And didn't talk about that all the time.
Yeah, he didn't go around bragging about it.
No,
He
not
just
at all.
did it. Well, we're also going to talk about, just everything that's coming out of Ferguson, Missouri.
Okay.
And I know you're a local native from that area.
I am.
Spent some time in Missouri.
And I'm from North County, where a lot of this is going on. It's amazing to me. And here's one of the things. St. Louis still is a segregated city, and that's the saddest fact. And that's why all this is happening.
It's still very palpable?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and there's a site right now. It's called If They Gun Me Down, or a hashtag If They Gun Me Down. And basically there's a lot of African Americans posting pictures of themselves side by side and showing one maybe as a graduate or something like that, and then the others if they're just hanging out with their friends.
Yeah, and basically making the point that if something were to happen to them, the media is probably going to choose the one that shows them in the not so favorable light, which brings a great discussion to the table.
Yeah.
As far as the media's role in these kind of tragedies.
Yeah, I saw a disturbing picture of Michael Brown last night that somebody posted online, and they were like, "Oh, well, here's your innocent young man," and I'm like, really? Because I know a bunch of white people who pose with guns all the time who don't have a problem with, the Clive and Bundy ranch thing, okay? All those people were armed, and there was no response, and were firing rubber bullets and tear gas at civilians, at citizens, and we feel that that's an appropriate response for some reason.
Yeah, I don't understand. We also dealt with this because Kendrick McDade locally here.
Yeah, with the Kendrick McDade. I was actually covering that, and I'm kind of, this is kind of the onset of the game, I guess you would say. But as far as images go, I was fortunate enough to talk to his uncle, and I used whatever images he gave me.
Yeah.
So there wasn't any strategic, I'm gonna pick this because it's really gonna add to his story. I don't know if as things progress, if I'm going to be encouraged to do that. Who knows?
Well, I know, early on there was pictures of Kendrick, he was doing, gangster rap video, just hanging out, and they were swearing, and those were the initial images that were used. But then, as we developed the story a little bit, we realized, all right, and now
there's a three-dimensional character here.
Most of the pictures of Kendrick are of him as a graduate. So it is a fine line of what does the media, what are they choosing to do? And Trayvon Martin was a great case because, there was really that conflict of what pictures to use. Well, that's it for the Morning Buzz. And Bill, we just wanted to thank you for joining us. We're going to have you back for our second half hour.
Awesome.
All right, yeah. Off to a great start there.
All right.
Well, Robin Williams' death has affected many of us, but especially hit home in those in the comedy world. We talked to Brandon Bell at the Ice House in Pasadena, where Williams was the first comic they booked, to get their reaction.
Found out on Facebook. I was stunned. I was shocked. And the comedy world lost a legend. We lost a very great individual. He made a lot of people laugh. He touched a lot of people's lives, a lot of people's hearts. Me personally, I've been watching him since Mork and Mindy. I grew up watching this guy. So, it's ironic for me to be working here as a comedy club. And, it's a lot of pain and tragedy. But, oh, man, the roles that he played was crazy funny. You know, there's a lot of roles that a lot of actors play that, you know, you can easily forget about. But Robin Williams is one of the comedians that, especially the comedic comedians, that when you seen them on TV, you wouldn't probably know, even if you didn't know his name, you would know one of his characters in any of his movies.
While Robin Williams had many of us smiling, he battled serious chronic depression.
To help us understand the difficult topics of depression and suicide, Dr. Michelle Meyer is here to tell us more. Welcome, Dr. Michelle.
Good morning.
It's just such a sad thing, and you know, so many of us don't understand what really happened to him. You know, this bright, lovely guy.
A lot of us tend to simplify this very complex problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem with suicide. You know, me and my colleagues have been talking all week about this, and we continue to talk about this, is that suicide prevention is not a quick fix. And I think people want that quick fix answer, or why didn't I know to do this, or why didn't we do this or that? And it's not that simple. It's very complex, like you were saying.
And he's been talking about this for a while. He's been very open about these thoughts.
Yes, he's been very open about his demons and the monsters, I think he described in one interview, that have sort of driven him to, you know, his work, and he sort of filtered it through his work. Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's estimated that one person dies by his it's estimated that every 13.3 minutes, one person dies by suicide. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for individuals ages 15 to 24. You know, and unfortunately, these individuals that have completed suicide, a majority of them have not sought out behavioral interventions or services. And additionally, it's unfortunate because there continues to be stigma around suicide for the individual and for the family that's living with suicide. You know, protective factors and risk factors, they're there and we know them, but I think the problem is about public education. So risk factors, mental illness is the most significant risk factor for suicide. Depression and substance abuse. It was estimated that last year, 61.5 million individuals in the US suffered from mental illness. That number seems really high, and unfortunately that number does not include individuals that did not seek services. Additionally, I read 4.8 million individuals have lost someone they love to a completed suicide. Again, I think the prevention strategies are very complex and difficult to understand. And so what you really want to start with these things is education, education, education. I can't stress it enough. Sort of knowing these warning signs, these helplessness, loss, isolation, depression, anxiety, all these symptoms that we see in individuals. If you notice a change in an individual and you know they have a history of depression, you really want to know sort of what you can do. And that's a problem, I think, is that people don't know what to do or how to respond to it and how to react to it. And so we really want to educate the community about what's available. If you see someone you love or if you're experiencing these yourself, signs, something's not right, then you need to know how to access resources and where these resources are. You know, Sehnita and Paulo, I think I hear time and time again from families I work with, I just didn't know what to do, I was so embarrassed. And that's the problem, is that people are so embarrassed with this topic.
Or afraid of the reaction.
Absolutely.
If you bring it up to them, I mean, they're probably going to be a little defensive there.
Yeah.
Well, most people, the reaction is, well, just cheer up, just, you'll get out of it. And that's the hard part. Like, this isn't just a bad day. It's not a down day. And so it's hard for people to understand that.
Yeah, and then the other thing is what to do with it. And so I tell families, be aware of hotlines. There's a National Suicide Prevention Hotline. There's the National Institute of Mental Health. There's a JED Foundation, the Jason Foundation, and all these sort of sites for families that they can actually access and they can figure out what they can do if they know of an individual or themselves that is suffering from this.
Perhaps most importantly, listen without judgment.
Absolutely.
Well, we have some of those resources that you mentioned, and we'll put them on our website as well. Thanks so much, Michelle.
Right. Thank you.
Well, a San Gabriel Valley nonprofit helps women businesses connect with each other.
Cynthia Kurtz tells us more about the San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership next.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
And now, CCN Crown City News. Your neighborhood starts right now.
Jobs in the Valley are nearing pre-recession levels. Cynthia Kurtz with the San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership is here to talk about how the Valley is bouncing back. Thanks for being here, Cynthia.
Welcome, Ms. Kurtz.
Thank you very much.
Always a pleasure.
So what are some of the highlights with the economy in the San Gabriel Valley now that it's bouncing back?
It is finally bouncing back, and that's really the exciting news and the most interesting news. The Valley really got hit hard during the recession. We lost over 55,000 jobs in about 18 months. And it took about 2 years before we started to see job growth coming back again. But 2013 was a banner year for us. We added 12,000 jobs. And we're predicting that we will go back to pre-recession numbers by the end of 2015.
I'm glad you brought up 2013 because I actually attended the Mayor Bogard's State of the City address, and he was really excited about the influx of tech businesses coming into Pasadena and other cities in the San Gabriel Valley. How much has that affected what's going on here and this sort of resurgence in our economy?
We're seeing an emerging industry there, and that's very excited because it's very good wage-paying jobs, and we don't care just about the number of jobs, but we want to make sure that people are making living wages, and they're able to use those dollars to help other businesses that are here in the region selling things, selling services, providing retail.
What's the role of the partnership in this bounce back? I mean, what were you doing to help this along and help businesses?
The Economic Partnership has been in existence for 23 years. It focuses on job creation and quality of life issues, and we believe to have a good quality of life, you need to have a job. We focus our efforts in 3 different areas. One is public policy, looking at regulations and legislation that will affect businesses and working closely with our elected officials from the region. A second is marketing the region. We have certain expertises and types of businesses here, and we're out telling other businesses they should look at us as a location. And third, we provide technical assistance. For any business that might need help, we'll come in and try to access the resources they need to grow here.
I'm actually going to throw you a 2-part question. It's not going to be too bad, though. But as far as the partnership goes, I mean, is it limited to just your big business corporations, or can small businesses join the partnership as well? And how would one go about joining the partnership?
Anyone can join the partnership. We are primarily medium and larger sized businesses, but I do want to emphasize that our technical assistance services are not just for our members. They're for any business of any size in the region that's struggling and looking for some sort of assistance. And anyone that would like to learn more about the partnership, probably go to our website first, valleyconnect.com, and you'll find out all about who our members are, what our services are, and how you can participate.
Okay. Now, there was a recent conference on the war on poverty. I know it was just the 50-year anniversary of LBJ, announcing a war on poverty. And you mentioned that, you're looking for higher wage jobs, not just, just getting people to work and having them be living poor, basically, or working poor. What does the partnership do to help encourage that?
As we look at August being the 50th year of that legislation, the War on Poverty, being signed, we are really concerned that 50 years later, we're not seeing good wage-paying jobs, and so we're going to look at making sure we provide extra assistance to those businesses and types of the economy that are providing those jobs.
And before you go, I know you're having an event September 6th honoring some local businesses, one of them being Huy Fong, the Red Rooster, Sriracha Sauce.
Yes.
How is the partnership involved in smoothing over that transition, or just keeping Huy Fong here in the Valley?
Well, they have decided they're staying in the San Gabriel Valley, and we're really, really excited about that, and they're working well with the city now. I really think the city stepped in and did the things they needed. We tried to provide assistance where we could, but it really was the city and the business working together, and we're very, very happy, and I'm sure
Absolutely.
the city of Irwindale is as well.
We don't have to stock up on our Sriracha Sauce.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for being here,
Thank you
Cynthia,
very much.
and you're welcome here anytime.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Pleasure.
Well, Walgreens has decided to keep their headquarters in the U.S., and their stock dropped.
In his Money and Market segment, Bob McClure talks about the conflict companies face in being loyal to their country versus their shareholders, coming up.
I think someone at my friend's school has this thing called autism. My friend's brother's son has autism. My neighbor's son has autism. My son has autism.
Autism is getting closer to home. Today, 1 in 68 children is diagnosed with autism. That's about a 30% increase in 2 years. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs.
If you drive buzzed, it could cost you around $10,000. You'll face major legal fees, major fines, and steep insurance penalties. You could lose everything. Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Many companies leave the U.S. to avoid paying higher taxes, and some say that's just downright unpatriotic.
That's right. So what happened when Walgreens decided against moving their operations out of the U.S.? CCN segment star Bob McClure is here with his Money and Market segment.
Okay, are you sitting down? I got breaking news for you. This is something I learned it on the internet just last night. U.S. companies are in business to make money. You can write that down. You heard it here first. They're in business to make money. Most specifically, they're in business to make money for their shareholders. Now, typically, the companies in the United States also want to be good corporate citizens. They want to make their suppliers, customers, employees, the communities they work in, they want to make a positive impact as much as possible. But sometimes things happen and they have to kind of refocus their efforts. For example, in an economic downturn, companies sometimes need to lay off employees in order to just survive and stay in business. Now, this is clearly not good for employees, but it is the right decision for the company. Sometimes a company will say that, or find out that they can manufacture and import goods from overseas at a much cheaper rate. This is clearly good for the company, maybe not so good for the company's employees, maybe also not as good for the company's suppliers. How about this? What happens when a company looks at their tax bill at the end of the year and says, we could pay a whole lot less tax if we were incorporated in another country? This brings up a whole host of problems. But the fact is, the top U.S. marginal tax rate is 35%. Now, the problem is our tax rate is really complicated. And so if we look at the effective tax rates companies pay, it's closer to 17%. But that still can't match the rates that companies will pay in places like Bermuda or Ireland. And so many companies, and you can see a list here, many companies have elected to keep their headquarters inside the United States, but actually move their tax residence offshore. Now, this caused quite a bit of concern because these companies have, in effect, renounced their U.S. citizenship, but they still take advantage of U.S. laws and U.S. court systems and things of that sort. Recently, Walgreens went through a process where they were considering inversion, which is a process of moving their tax base. They got shot down. They were really pressured by politicians. So what happened was they announced about 2 weeks ago they were going to stay in Chicago, Illinois with their tax residence and their operations. What happened was in the next 2 days, their stock price dropped 20%. Paulo, Sehnita, what's the right thing for them to do?
Stay in the U.S. That's a patriotic thing to do.
Yeah. The answer is clear as day.
Go USA.
Go USA.
Thanks for that, Bob. Well, Pasadena's artist Stan Sakai's Rabbit Samurai has conquered all with his sword in his Usagi Yojimbo comic book.
Now the artist hopes he can raise money to conquer his wife's inoperable brain tumor with a little help from his friends. You'll want to hear this story next.
Enroll, we say, we want you to be okay. Enroll, we say, take care of people for goodness sake. There's a plan for every budget, so don't accept defeat. Now you can get covered and still buy me treats.
You take care of your pets. Now it's their turn to take care of you. Visit getcoveredamerica.org to learn about your health insurance options.
For 30 years, Pasadena resident Stan Sakai's Rabbit Samurai has conquered all with his sword in his Usagi Yojimbo comic book series. Now Sakei has bigger battles to fight with the help of the Rabbit Samurai and a few friends. Stan's wife, Sharon, a fixture in the comic book world, has been battling an inoperable brain tumor since 2004, which left her paralyzed on the left side of her face. Stan Sakei of Pasadena is a member of the nonprofit Comic Art Professional Society, or CAPS. Members of CAPS began to see what the Sakeis were going through and wanted to help. His artist friends created a 160-page book, The Sakei Project. Artists celebrate 30 years of Usagi Yojimbo, which was released recently in time for Comic-Con in San Diego, and the book sold out. The book features Sakei's own Usagi work as well as the work of hundreds of artists, including Matt Groening. The featured artist will do a book signing and fundraiser this Saturday at Meltdown Comics in Los Angeles. Earlier this year, members of CAPS also put together an online auction. Hundreds of art pieces were sold over 19 weeks, with all proceeds going to help fund Sharon's medical expenses. Hopefully wish them the best of luck.
Yeah, and I want to take a look at that book. Paul, I want to ask you, how much sleep do you get?
Wow, I mean, you know what? If I'm lucky, I'll clock in 6, but I think on an average I'm getting about 4.
I know, me too, and I know it's no good for me. I mean, I just feel like, headache all the time. I'm a little cranky. You might have noticed that.
You never.
But, I don't know. I really need to get more sleep.
Yeah, I mean, don't we all? Luckily, Mary Winters is here with her Senior Solutions segment to tell us why sleep is even more important than ever for senior health.
Hi, Mary.
Hi, Mary. How you doing?
There you are. Where'd you come from?
Magic of TV, right?
So why is sleep so important? Do older people need to get more or less?
As adults, we all need uninterrupted sleep. We need nice, deep sleep. And there's so many issues with our health that we're putting at risk when we're not getting enough sleep. So really, we can't live with it. We can't live without it. Years ago, people would say, what do we need to do for sleep? You can't really die from not having enough sleep, but we sure can get awfully cranky. And what happens when we have a lack of sleep? Actually, we know that it can cause weight gain, diabetes, depression, cardiovascular disease, that kind of manifests into from hypertension. Our immune system winds up becoming very depleted when we don't have enough sleep, and that is why we wind up getting things like colds. When we have a good night's sleep, we can count on better heart health and reduced risk of cancer, reduced stress and inflammation in our body. You're more mentally aware and alert. We have better recall, and we stay away from depression. One of the biggest things with seniors, too, one of the factors with the dementia, we look at sleep. We do a lot with sleep studies, and I do quite a bit with my clients with sensors in their bed to see how long they're actually sleeping and how well they're sleeping. So what's the right amount of sleep? 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That 8 hours is really good, but we want that deep sleep. So the more that we can really focus on creating our environment as a good setting for sleep, then we know that we'll have better health in our older age and avoid some of these diseases.
Take a little nap right here, huh? No, gotta be up.
Quality over quantity. You gotta have a good
quality.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, there
exactly.
You go.
All right, thanks for that, Mary.
Sounds good.
Coming up in our next half hour, we're going to help you master your negotiations with author David Chevalier.
And the Mad Chef, Chef Dave, is here with the perfect peaches and shortcake dessert for the end of summer. Already the end of summer.
I hated writing that.
Watch out for that coming up next.
Yo, check out this chef, right? Right? That's so gay. That's really gay. Dude, look at those hands.
Please don't say that.
What?
Don't say that something is gay when you mean that something is dumb or stupid. It's insulting. It's like if I thought this pepper shaker was stupid and I said, man, and this pepper shaker is so 16-year-old boy with a cheesy mustache. Just saying. When you say that's so gay, do you realize what you say? Knock it off.
You make me wear my bike helmet. Taught me never to run with scissors. And to follow the swimming rules. You tell me to stay away from drugs. To always buckle my seatbelt.
So why do you keep a loaded gun in your drawer?
How safe is that?
You asked them to follow some safety rules. Now they're asking you. In fact, they're counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
And now, from Pasadena, it's CCN Sunrise with Sehnita Joshua Mattison, Paulo Alejandria, the Crown City News team, and the CCN Sunrise segment stars. It's time to wake up San Gabriel Valley with CCN Sunrise.
And we're back with our second half hour of CCN Sunrise. I'm Sehnita Joshua Mattison.
And I'm Paulo Alejandria. Well, Sehnita, I mean, you digged up some pretty interesting factoids about some news anchors talking about sleep, right?
Well, you know, I had a little rough morning, and it felt better. Well, I realized the morning show host had put out what time they usually get up on NBC. George Stephanopoulos gets up at 2:30 in the morning.
Wow.
I mean, when does he sleep? Is he I don't understand. Is he a vampire?
You probably have to be to be in this business. I know I'm slowly turning into one with my 4 hours of sleep, and I'm probably gonna have to settle for less if God willing, things happen the way they should, right?
They absolutely will. But you know, a lot of these people are waking up. Robin Roberts is up at 3:15 in the morning. Al Roker at 3:05, and they're not. You know, I'm just kind of just waking up and trying to get here and do my stuff here. But they're waking up, walking their dogs. Kathy Lee Gifford is doing Bible study, and
wow.
And they're reading. I know that.
So it's not just getting up. There's activities involved too.
They are actually doing activities.
The struggle for me be getting up, adding all that to the table too. I don't know about that.
I know one of them sits on the bathroom floor and reads the newspaper. That's what she likes to do.
Wow.
Meredith Vieira, that is.
Sits on the bathroom floor.
I guess that's her thing.
Wow. Yeah,
I might not be on the bathroom floor,
yeah,
but
you could find better places.
Absolutely.
Like a Starbucks? No.
Well, now here's a look at some of the news headlines happening right here in the San Gabriel Valley.
And now, CCN, Crown City News. Your news, your neighborhood starts right now.
More than 130 of the 230 members of Local 858, the union representing maintenance, water and power workers, and rank and file employees, protested at Monday's City Council meeting. Workers protested the lack of a contract for the past 2 years since they've been negotiating with the city. Lee Wax, business representative of the union, told CCN Sunrise the city initially offered them a 25-cent raise, finally bringing it to $1, which he called an insult. Wax says since 2009, workers were asked to defer promised raises, increase their retirement contributions, and give up better health coverage. Workers also froze floating holidays, saving the city more than $1.5 million. Wax says workers accepted these sacrifices when times were tough, and now it's time for the city to step up. The union disputes the city's argument that there simply aren't enough funds by citing the recent high-profile concerts with Beyonce and Rihanna and an overall $4 to $5 million increase in the general fund. Wax says the city is trying to balance the budget on the back of the lowest rung of workers. Wax also tells us that he spoke to the council for 4 minutes on Monday, but no one from the council asked additional questions. Well, we're going to reach out to the Pasadena City Council for comment and keep you updated on further negotiations between the two sides. Students and teachers in the Pasadena Unified School Districts will soon get the latest cutting-edge technology. That is 3D printers. Every school in the district will receive a 3D printer. The schools received the printers from a generous donor as the technology was highlighted as one of the top trends to impact STEM education in the next 5 years. On Wednesday, PUSD teachers were trained to use the printers. The teachers even took part in a design competition, using the skills they learned from the day.
Well, Sehnita, it looks like the future is certainly now, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Cool.
I can't wait
really
to
cool.
try one of those out. And they said they're going to give us access during the school year. So can't wait. And the students are going to come up with some cool things too.
Nice, nice.
Well, we are back to the buzz, and Bill Chott is here again to talk about what's buzzing out there. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Back with us again. One of the biggest events. Have you been to the Rose Bowl? Have you checked out any of these big concerts come in?
I haven't been to the concerts, but I'll tell you this
You
last
an Eminem
week,
fan?
I always bust down with Eminem. I actually grew up, part of my childhood was spent in Michigan on 9 Mile Road, so like a mile away Instead of
been
being
8 Mile.
M&M, I just eat them.
Here on 9 Mile Road. But, you know, a lot of people are saying with these Rose Bowl events, because they increased them by a lot. And it was hard for the residents to get on board because they're saying, you know, it's really changing the culture of our area.
And we talked about this a couple months ago.
We sure did.
There was some concern there, and it looks like a lot of these concerns are kind of coming to light, these fears that they had.
I mean, a man was biting someone's finger at the
Wasn't it the
Beyonce-
man who got his fingers bitten? Wasn't that the deal?
What'd you say?
It was the man who got his fingers bitten.
Well,
by a
yeah,
woman.
yeah. One man bit another
It's weird,
man's
nevertheless.
I don't know. Did Mike Tyson come out? You know, he switched from ears to fingers. I don't get it, but
It's weird. Yeah.
And the Rihanna M&M concert, there's so many arrests. I don't understand. You know, there was for intoxication, of course, and then also, I mean, I know they're clamping down on scalpers. But, you know, even the traffic was ensnarled, and I just think all the things that they were worried about are coming true here.
This last week, I was at a friend's house. We had like a taco night. And she lives not that far from the Rose Bowl, and my wife and I were trying to decide, when are we going to leave? And my wife said, now would be a good time to leave. I said, why? Because it's like the time to end the concert. And she goes, no, I can hear the song they're playing right now.
Oh my gosh, it's
and
that
this
loud.
is the one song they do together, so that's got to be the finale.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, let's go.
You better get in line for that One Direction concert. You better get there now.
I already got my tickets. But I mean, for some residents, they might not like it, but unfortunately, we do need to pay for these renovations. Or yeah, they do need to.
Well, and that's what they're saying. It's like the biggest boon for businesses, and the Rose Bowl is
And it
also
is bringing
making
in
up
money.
their money. So
It is bringing in
in
money.
the end, that's it. But you know, I used to live in that neighborhood, and you know, I wouldn't want all
You
that
wouldn't.
traffic and all the
Yeah.
You know,
Who needs that?
who needs that?
Who needs that?
Well, the next story we're going to be talking about is the military is finally relaxing some of the hairstyle rules they had, and
For women in particular, right?
for women in particular, because and African American women in particular.
Yeah, well, some
because-
of the language used to describe hairstyles usually associated with African women, you use words like matted and unkempt.
And relaxing.
When you're talking about afros and cornrows, and that's how Army regulation described these hairstyles as being matted and unkempt, which is a little in poor taste. I guess maybe a little outdated as far as the verbiage. I don't know. What do you make of this?
I would not tell a black woman how to wear her
I'm
hair.
not going to tell a black woman about her hair at all. No way.
But do you guys find it at all? Are you guys like, well, why do the women get to keep their hair in the first place? I mean, I know some of the men
I
are
think
like,
everybody should have to keep it high and tight. If you're in the military, that should be the only regulation. Anything beyond that, what you do with your hair is your own business.
honestly, I don't know why they even chose to use those words. Like, who is writing these
It's
things?
probably written back in the day.
Well,
way back
I'm
when.
glad
yeah.
they finally changed that, came to their senses, because
Now,
a lot of people
the Marines have to
protested.
come around because I hear they're the only ones who are still kind of using
Well,
it.
I don't know if they use the words like unkept, you know,
Yeah.
like they were at least smarter about
Yeah.
that. So, well, Bill,
Alrighty.
thanks for being here again. We hope you're going to join us again on The Buzz.
You bet. I get up every morning and read the paper on my bathroom floor,
I
so I
know.
hope to share more with you next time.
I like to eat scrambled eggs down there, too.
Really?
Yeah, you know, it's
Yes.
my morning routine.
So might as well just wax on it.
Drop down there if I did any of that.
It was fun waxing on it with you, though.
It was,
Yeah.
and waxing off.
Yeah, waxing on, wax off.
And waxing off here, coming up, we'll introduce you to a store with a mission to empower women.
And Lee Cuellar will show us how staging can make all the difference in getting an offer, or not, coming up.
A full life, measured in seats, starts with the right ones early on. Car crashes are a leading killer of children 1 to 13. Learn how to prevent deaths and injuries by using the right car seat for your child's age and size.
Separate raw meats from other foods by using different cutting boards. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
When some people struggle with their mortgage payments, they become frozen, petrified. Not knowing what to do, they do nothing. But the people who take action are far more likely to get the most positive outcome. Making home affordable is a free government program. Call now to talk one-on-one with a housing expert about the options that are right for you. Real help, real answers, right now.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
When it's time to sell the house, most people wonder if the cost of staging is actually worth it.
In the CCN Sunrise Your Home segment, Lee Cuellar tells us that staging can make all the difference between getting an offer or not. Da, 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 da.
So what is staging? Staging is the act of getting your home ready for sale so that it will appeal to the widest audience of people so that you can get the most money when you actually sell the house. Now, why do you want to stage your house? Studies show that homes that are staged sell in about half the amount of time that a home that's not staged. And staged homes sell for about up to 10% more than a house that's not staged. And people can't see the potential. They can't visualize the potential in a home, and they cannot see past the dirt and the clutter. Here are a couple of photographs of a home that I recently sold. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath cottage and about 1,000 square feet. Now, as you can see in that first photo, it's an empty room. There's not a lot to work with. The second photo, after it's been professionally staged, looks warm and inviting, and people can easily visualize living in that home. How to stage. You can certainly work with a professional staging company and spend several $1,000s, or you can do it yourself. You can start with a thorough cleaning and decluttering of your home. If time and budget allow, you can certainly paint the inside and the outside. A fresh coat of paint is going to go a great way to help your curb appeal. You can also beef up your landscaping with some fresh flowers. Now, updating your kitchen and baths, round out the top list of money-making improvements that you can make when you're selling your home. So, to maximize the return on your largest investment, spend some time staging your home. Sehnita and Paulo, back to you.
Spruce it up a little.
Absolutely.
You might actually sell your house.
Well,
that Raise Your Dream House, a basketball team, get ready to get what you want.
we learn all the tips and tricks needed for your next high-powered negotiation when Derek Chevalier joins us. You won't want to miss this.
My new dad teaches me all kinds of stuff.
I wouldn't use this one.
He helps me with my decision making.
Ever.
And he's even teaching me how to drive.
And that's why cars have bumpers.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of kids in foster care will take you just as you are.
In the small town of Elmira, New York, a boy was born into an all-American family. The odds of him opening his own clothing store at the age of 18? 1 in 138,000. Excited to be a part of pop culture, he packed for the big city. The odds of finding someone to invest in his vision? 1 in 4.5 million. The odds of him achieving his dream in the fashion industry? 1 in 23 million. The odds of having a child diagnosed with autism? 1 in 68. I am Tommy Hilfiger, and my family is affected by autism. Learn more at autismspeaks.org/signs. Early diagnosis can make a lifetime of difference.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
Cook foods to the right temperature using a food thermometer. 3,000 Americans will die from food poisoning this year. Keep your family safer. Check your steps at foodsafety.gov.
You want to come out on top on your next high-level negotiation? Derek Chevalier, Executive Vice President and Negotiation Strategist from Harrison Chevalier, is here to tell us how you can come out of your next negotiation a champ. Welcome.
Good morning. I'm happy to be
Top
here.
of the morning to you.
Well, thank you very much. Good morning. Yeah.
So tell us, what are some of the biggest deals that you've negotiated?
Well, biggest deals is, have you ever tried negotiating with a 6-month-old? No.
Yes,
No.
I have.
Yeah, sure you
I
have.
lost badly, so what can you tell me? How can you help me?
That sounds interesting, though. Here's the deal. The children are the most effective and the most successful negotiators in the world because they don't really care what you want. They don't care about your opinion, and they don't care about how many times you don't want to hear no. And those are very effective strategies at getting what you want. But as you get older, if you only focus on what you want, you frequently lose a lot of opportunity because you have no idea what the other person was actually willing to give you. So that's what we do, yeah.
On that note, how detrimental is emotions when it comes to negotiation? Is it something you just really want to take that out of the equation?
What a great question.
You can't sit there and cry like the 2-year-old, right?
Well, look, you know what? The question is yes and yes. How detrimental? Being emotional with the wrong person is very detrimental. Being emotional with the right person is exactly what you want to do. The crying sometimes is one of the most effective things, especially if it's sincere, but it will work even if it's not.
That's why they call it the art of
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Whatever
of course. And think about it. The easiest people to negotiate are really emotional people, because anybody that knows somebody who's really emotional, somebody that's a yeller or a screamer, will tell you 3 minutes after they're yelling and screaming, they're 3 years old. You can walk them around because they feel like idiots for what they've done. Did I say what they've done, what we've done? I'm telling them myself. That's why I know that.
Interesting.
I mean, yeah.
How hard is it to negotiate for someone else on someone else's behalf versus when you're doing it for you?
Absolutely more difficult to negotiate with yourself, because you were asking about difficult negotiations. It's difficult to negotiate with people that you're close to, difficult to negotiate for your own salary, difficult to negotiate for what you want. And in those instances, we suggest that you use a third-party restrictive force. So in other words, if you wanted a raise, you would not go and say,
I sure do. Tell me what I got.
yes, well, if you go in and you say two things, I want a raise, it becomes very personable. But what if you went home and you said, I was talking to my spouse, my husband, and we were talking about, he was asking me why I wasn't paid more. That's a different question.
Speaking of negotiations, I mean, we've all kind of seen the whole Donald Sterling Clipper affair negotiations kind of play out before our eyes.
Right, yes.
What are your impressions of this?
Thanks.
And is this kind of like an unprecedented?
No, it's not unprecedented. I'll show you how old that is. That goes all the way back to classic Greek. It goes back to the Trojan. In fact, what happened, that's an example of what we call cooperative negotiation. Okay. And what people haven't talked about really is the idea, why does Donald have to sell his team? It wasn't what he said. It was that what he said was recorded. Well, would he have said those things had you been on the phone with him? It was an example of somebody taking advantage of a relationship. Caesar himself might not have been stabbed, et brute. Well, you had to be close enough to get the knife in. So the question was, how did she have access? And that's when it's dangerous. When you believe somebody that you trust is trustworthy, you start opening your mouth and you don't ask, do you have a tape recorder?
The questions you
made that
ask.
parallel. It was very much like a Greek tragedy.
It's actually called Trojan. Yeah, exactly.
Great
Well,
parallel.
Derek, there's so many more questions we need to be asking you, but
Good.
so we're just gonna have to bring you back.
Well,
How about
that'd be great. I'd love that.
How does that sound?
And you can solve
Can we
that
negotiate
Israeli
you coming back?
Palestine.
We can negotiate you coming back, right?
Yes, that was a good negotiation.
Please come back.
That's the emotional strategy.
Got it. Okay, I will.
Well, summer is almost over.
But you still have time for the perfect summer dessert. Chef Dave has it with his taste of CCN coming up.
You guys going to my party on Friday?
Yeah, dude, it's gonna be crazy.
All right.
What's up, dude?
I'm loving your jacket.
Don't be such a fag.
If you don't mean it, why say it? Words hurt. Think before you speak.
Hey everybody! Heart disease affects 1 in every 3 women in America, but you can fight back. There's no time to lose. Mothers, sisters, daughters, families, and friends, it's time to shout louder, stand stronger, and demand change. Let's go!
To the Batmobile. Dang it.
To the invisible jet! Dang it. Together, we can put an end to heart disease. It's time to go red for women. I could use your help. Learn more from the American Heart Association at www.goredforwomen.org.
Hey, Hard, what's this? That's my resignation letter. You're resigning. Why? Because you're constantly ignoring me. You're half as active as you used to be, and you get stuff like this. You've been putting me under a lot of pressure lately. That's why I'm ready to quit. I forgot. I'll do better. Please, don't quit on me. Okay. But remember, it's not what you say, it's what you do.
Listen to your heart. Don't let it quit on you.
Let's go for a walk.
Uncontrolled high blood pressure could lead to a stroke, heart attack, or death. Get yours to a healthy range before it's too late.
La gente cree que soy basura, pero están equivocados. Hoy soy una lata de aluminio, pero algún día podría ser un estadio.
Algunas personas que tienen dificultades con sus pagos hipotecarios se quedan paralizadas, petrificadas. Al no saber qué hacer, deciden no hacer nada. Pero quienes actúan tienen mayor posibilidad de obtener un mejor resultado. Making Home Affordable es un programa gratuito del gobierno. Llame ahora para hablar con un especialista en vivienda sobre las mejores opciones para usted. Ayuda verdadera. Respuestas reales. Ahora.
If you store your guns properly, I'll feel safer when I'm playing outside.
Safer when walking home.
I won't have to tell so many family members. I'm sorry.
I won't hear as many scary stories.
And I won't have to tell my kids. This isn't a drill.
Please.
Please, do it for us.
Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Never let your gun get into the wrong hands. Remember, always, lock it up. Visit ncpc.org.
Chef Dave is here with the perfect end of summer dessert, peaches and shortcake. Oh, hey there, Peaches.
Hey, good morning.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing really good. I hope you guys are doing good. You're about to experience peaches right now, and I wanted to talk about the different varieties of peaches, how to ripen them, and then what to do with them once they're ripened. So most people don't realize that the peach is actually from China, was discovered about 10th century. And it's
way back in the day.
Way back in the day, way before our time. And it's also known as the Persian apple. The Romans actually brought it in from, the Iranians brought it to Rome, and they talked about it as a...
was it a summer delight back then as like it is now?
It was a summer delight. You know, the great thing about peaches is they're really versatile. They're usually available May through August. So the two varieties that we have are the yellow peach, which is the most popular, usually the least expensive, and then we have the white peach. The best way to store peaches is on a cloth napkin, and you want to put them stem side down. You want to make sure that they're not touching each other. So let's get started. So Sehnita, I've already started cutting the peaches. So what you want to do is just throw some sugar in there and you want to mix it up. You're going to mix the biscuit.
How much sugar should I put, like a teaspoon?
Yeah,
so
just make it and just mix it up.
This is me making the shortcake.
You are making the shortcake. So this is pre-measured. The ingredients are 2.5 cups of flour, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of baking soda, and some milk. So throw we're going to use water today, but you can use milk. Substitute however you like. Just throw it in there. Yep. Mix it all up, and what you want to do is just make it into really a soft ball. Mix it up. Just stir that together and set this down.
All right.
Okay, how are we doing?
Now with peaches, they are a fruit that you should buy organic, is from what I've heard.
Yes. They're a little bit more though if you buy organic. So if you do decide that when you buy peaches, just peel the skin off if you're not buying organic, if you don't want the skin. Some people don't like the skin. Now the key to this is you want to make sure that when you do the sugar, mix this up a little bit earlier. You can add a little bit of water because you want to make it syrupy and it'll soften.
So you want to mix this until it's all kind of smooth, all these beads are out? Is that what you're mixing it up?
Yeah, just a really soft batter. So again, storing it, throw it over, let it sit on your countertop. Make sure that your peaches are not touching. So here we go. We've got we've got our shortbread done for the matter of time.
Okay.
Now, you're going
that
to take
looks
some of the
so
fresh whipped
tasty.
cream, throw that on there, cut yours up.
Did you make these fresh?
I made them early this morning.
Oh,
But of course.
so good.
That's right, but of course.
But of course.
Okay, so here we go.
He's the mad
So we're going to
chef.
throw this on here. Okay, great. So you got that.
Was it too much?
Nope, that's
Okay.
perfect.
I like
so let's
my
take
whipped
this and let's make it look really pretty.
And you still want me stirring here, right? Or
I think you're good.
Okay.
So what you want to do is take that batter, throw it. You can spoon it on with a tablespoon. Throw it on a little cookie sheet. Let it cook for 12 minutes at about 425 degrees if it's a dark pan. If it's a light pan, you want to cook it at 450 for about 10 to 12 minutes. Should be fairly quick.
How much can that impact it if you don't use the right pan?
Well, darker pans require lower temperatures, about 25 degrees. So you just want to remember that because you know how sometimes things burn. That's typically
Never
the reason.
happened in my house. I don't know what
in
you're talking about.
Never in my kitchen either. So let's doll it this. The other thing that's really nice with peaches is you can really mix them with herbs. If you wanted to do this, you
like
could
mint?
actually, you could do mint, you can do lavender, you can do rosemary. So there's yours, my dear.
Oh, it looks so
Let's
good.
make yours up.
All right.
Let's get you on here. So we'll
And
throw
by the
this
way,
in.
the presentation, it just looks amazing.
I know, if you're
Yes.
having a dinner party, you can pre-make these, throw them in the freezer, and you can always have them ready for people.
It's like a pretty easy thing, right?
Very simple. Most people don't realize how easy this is.
Can I, is this foolproof, the shortcake?
Yes, it's actually very, very simple. So we're going to throw this on for you.
All right, I can't
dollop.
wait, Paulo.
A dollop, and here we go.
Let's go, my friends.
All right.
So enjoy. This is one of my favorite desserts. I absolutely love it, and I highly recommend it. You can also, a few things else with peaches, you can grill them. Most people don't realize that,
Oh
but
my
cut
gosh,
them in
that's
half,
Grill-
fry
oh, that
them,
sounds
and throw them on the
delicious.
grill. And it's terrific with fish. It's wonderful with chicken. It's wonderful with lamb. There isn't anything you can't do with this. Peach salsa is also another really good one.
This is so good.
This is delicious.
Fantastic.
I love it.
And when these are really warm up, when you're serving them warm out of the oven, they're amazing. So I hope that you guys will try the peaches. Visit the Mad Chef Kitchen website
Oh my gosh,
for
that's
more
amazing.
information and more recipes.
Thank you so
So-
much. Well, that's it for our newscast. I'm going to be finishing that. There's not going to be any left. But we would like to thank all of our sponsors. We have Foothill Transit, Senior Provider Network, Pasadena Federal Credit Union, San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership, Beacon Media News, and Ability First for sponsoring our show. We're so thankful for them for all their support.
And a big thanks to Bill Chott, Cynthia Kurtz, and Derek Chevalier for joining us in the studio. And thanks also to all the CCN Sunrise crew,
This is so good.
and especially to you out there watching. Join us next week.
Peaches do you like?